So this just happened. I came down here looking for one fish, Badis siamensis. That was the goal. But these rivers had other plans for me. Freshwater puffers that act like they own the place, aquarium plants absolutely everywhere, and a couple of fish that made me stop and go, "Wait, what are you doing here?" And by the end of the trip, this turned into one of the most eventful shoots on this channel. In this episode, I got bitten by pufferfish, filmed more aquarium plants in the wild than I think I've ever have, and laid on algae that gave me a nasty rash. I will explain that when we get to it. Alright, welcome back to this 3-part series exploring southern Thailand. Episode 1 was Deep Blue Springs and the critically endangered Badis simplex. Episode 2 was hill streams with gobies that can climb waterfalls. This episode is where everything slows down and the rivers turn into an underwater jungle. Welcome to episode 3. Oh, and really quick before we dive in, the 2026 calendar is now available. It's got some of my favorite shots from this trip and other locations throughout the year. I've also got prints available from these habitats we will be exploring today. If you want to support the channel and get some of this underwater footage on your wall, links are in the description below. Alright, let's get into it. First stop, the Sok River, right by the famous Khao Sok National Park. Loads of people have explored this place already, so I kind of knew what to expect. We got here right after rain and the water was still a bit murky. It was also already late in the day, so we didn't have plenty of time here. The one thing we did have plenty of was puffers. A lot of people don't even realize that are freshwater puffers. Most people hear pufferfish and think about coral reefs. But here they are, in a river just like this. And what's funny is they don't act shy underwater at all. They will swim right up to you and investigate. They are predators, but they are not really chasing fish around. They hover, they stare, and then they take anything they can crush. Little crustaceans, insect larvae, and their favorite, snails. They've got that hard beak instead of normal teeth, built for breaking shells. So yeah, when they bite you, it's not a small nibble. During the breeding season, they can be pretty territorial, and this is where I learned the hard way to wear underwater shoes and gloves. Whenever I would get close to a puffer's territory, they would come straight at me, biting my fingers and toes. One of these bites actually got infected, which resulted into a pretty pricey hospital visit. Not the most glamorous story, but worth sharing in case any of you plan to snorkel with puffers. Be aware. Either way, these fish are fearless. Even in the cloudy water, you can still make out a few cool fish moving through the current. A thick-lipped barb and the stone-lapping minnow. By the way, scientific names will be on the screen in the bottom left, so you can pause if you want to see the exact IDs. I also filmed this for the first time on the channel, a little loach. They stay glued to the bottom and take refuge behind stones before disappearing again. This is one of the fish you will miss unless you slow down and actually stare at the gravel for a while. Plant-wise, I found cryptocoryne here too, and as requested, here are the water parameters from this spot. And don't worry, I'm upgrading my meters really soon. You guys have told me that these aren't really reliable. The stream I'm about to show you is born somewhere up in those mountains. We will have to film it downstream where the access isn't restricted. From the road it looks like any ordinary stream. From inside the river it feels remote and almost untouched. The water here also moves faster than it looks on video, so honestly it was hard work, staying stable without kicking up sediment and trying not to get beaten again. Because yeah, there are puffers here too, different ones though. And here you can see more cryptocoryne, and this time I'm pretty confident it's not the tropical carpet grass from episode 1. I actually believe this is Cryptocoryne crispatula var. albida, and this time you can actually see the classic Cryptocoryne flower, so at least that confirms the genus. This huge underwater bush is Hydrilla verticillata. It's everywhere in these lower stretches, and it's super common in Thailand. Now fish-wise, this was really interesting as well. This is the oscillated pufferfish, and I only found one of these here. It was super green. In this fast-flowing water, it didn't look like the most elegant swimmer. It was kind of comical watching it fight the current. It kept trying to stay in calmer pockets of water, behind rocks, branches and plants, because the main current here is just too much for a small puffer. In this area I found neon green rasboras again. In the shade they almost disappear, then one tilt into the light and they glow bright green. And despite the common name, they are a Microdivarius species, closer to Danios than rasboras. And these are the greater scissor-tail rasboras. They are insanely fast, they do not stop for a second. Every time I thought I already had the shot, they were gone. Up near the surface I found needlefish once again, just sitting there under the water surface, floating like a stick. And check this out, the spanobarbs here have this slightly different look. Notice the red accent on the dorsal fin. I don't think we have seen that on the channel before. Could this be an undescribed species or just a local variation? Then there was these rasboras. Given the region, these should be side-striped rasboras, but the tail pattern looks different to me. Could it be a different rasbora species like Rasbora vulgaris? Or could it actually be something undescribed, or again, just a local variation? Here I also saw more big-mouth stream gobies. This species seems to be in every stream in this region. Then we went further downstream, and this is where it gets really interesting. The aquatic plant diversity in this stretch of the river is insane. More variety than I've seen anywhere else. Here I found Blixa, probably Blixa alberti, and some of it was turning red under the bright sunlight, which looked really nice. And then there was loads of cryptocoryne as well. This one with the flowing leaves could be Cryptocoryne crispatula var flaccidifolia or Cryptocoryne crispatula var balancei, or maybe even both, because telling these plants apart is not easy, and they are both found in this area, and they do look very similar. This species has a lot of variation, and sometimes multiple variations can be found in the same habitats. Now, if you remember from episode 2 where I thought I had filmed the endangered water onion plant, well, it was brought to my attention that I probably didn't. It was just another plant that looked very similar. But this time, I'm sure this is the water onion plant. You can even see the leftovers of a flower here. This plant is endemic to a small part of southern Thailand, and it's one of those species that gets hit from both sides. Habitat change and collection for the aquarium trade. You can literally see plantations and busy roads right next to this river, and that's never great for a species this localized. There is actually a conservation plan going in the area, and they are trying to bring back a lot of these water onion plants, and that's probably why we were able to find them in this episode. And then seeing this one made me really happy because it was such a throwback. Hygrophila polysperma, one of the first aquarium plants I ever kept. Fish-wise, there honestly weren't many around. I think the rain had something to do with it. But the most abundant species by far was still the greater scissor-tailed rasbora. And in the background you can actually see one specimen of dwarf tiger barb. Like we saw in episode 1, you only find them in areas where the vegetation is really thick. Then you have these flathead gobies, which are always really hard to film as well. They blend perfectly with the substrate, and the second you move, they vanish. And right by the flathead goby, we got something really unexpected. Seeing silver Badis this far up a river always seems off. You would usually associate them with the coast or an estuary environment. But some of them do push into fresh water sometimes. If you know the exact species here, let me know in the comments. Not exactly a great shot, but you might actually be able to see a red-nosed shrimp here. Sometimes when I'm editing the footage, I end up noticing small things like this that I didn't see while I was snorkeling. And here are the water parameters for this section of the river as well. The next spot was a really small stream, not far from the other one. They might even be connected. I only stopped here because as I drove past I saw plants waving with the flow. It was Cypress alferi, lots of it. And the water was insanely clear as well. The rocks here were covered in this blue-green slime that looked like cyanobacteria. And I don't know if it really was or if it was something else, but what I do know is that I came out of here with a nasty rash on my legs. But look at this stream, it's so clear, there was no way I wasn't going to film this. Fish-wise, I found more neon green rasboras here, and in this green background they don't pop the same way. They actually blend in really well. That got me thinking this is probably the sort of habitat they have evolved to be in. Unfortunately, places like these are becoming increasingly rare, and then we end up seeing them in places with no plants at all. And then under the bridge I found something that really surprised me, a mangrove red snapper. As the name suggests, they are usually an estuary or mangrove fish, but some specimens can push upstream into fresh water. In the shadows under the bridge I also saw Java ferns, but these ones were the narrow leaf variety, totally different from the other locations I've filmed. There was lots of side-striped rasboras too, and some of them had those spots as well, but not all specimens. In the previous stream every fish had them. So I don't know if I'm seeing two species here or just one, or if it's some kind of strange local variation. Mixed in with the water sprites, you can see cryptocorynes again. There was a green and also a red variety. Here I also found more of that endangered water onion, and this one was actually blooming even though it was out of season. And then there was these hard-lipped barbs. They graze along every surface, leaves, branches, rocks, slowly scraping that brown-green film off. In a stream with this much sunlight and this clear, the grazers must be doing a great job. Except for that blue-green stuff. I really doubt anything would touch that. Now the last stop for this trip. It was already the end of the day and I was about to drive overnight back to Bangkok. But there was still one species I really wanted to film, and I hadn't managed to find it yet. Badis siamensis, the Siamese badis. I checked a lot of streams on the way, then I found this place. A very shallow and clear stream with a very gentle flow, exactly what I was looking for. And sure enough, there it was. At first it was just peeking out from between the rocks, then it came out into the open and hovered around me. I was sure that if I moved, it would vanish, but it didn't. Weirdly, it was very curious and it came right up to me, and at one point it almost touched the camera. This is what I was looking for, the Siamese badis. In this same little stream I also found a forest snakehead. I was surprised to see such a big specimen in such shallow water. You would imagine that birds would make a quick meal out of it, but maybe the marginal plants and the camouflage is enough to keep it alive. There was also tons of Phuket zebra loaches. I've never seen this many together before. It was really fun to watch them swim around together. Here I also saw blue danios, a croaking gourami, spotted barbs and spanner barbs. I also got a glimpse of another snakehead species, Chana limbata, but I wasn't able to get any good footage of it. Maybe next time. It's 6 PM, the sun is setting in half an hour. I'm actually on the way back to Bangkok. This is literally the last spot of the trip. and I finally got the Badis Siamensis. I hope you enjoyed these videos. I have some prints available on my website, and the 2026 calendar is now available as well, so check that out. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next video.